right, for everybody. That's a very tinny sounding bell because it's my tin cup that I drink my coffee out of. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you're all here this evening or morning, wherever you are located. It is another Rotarian evening. It's another time for us to get together. It's another chance for us to share information between each other. Tonight, we have a very interesting speaker who's going to talk about UK and USSR, but I don't think it's called USSR anymore. I think it's UK and Russia. And we're going to hear what he has to say about that this evening. It should be interesting. Another one of our ICC presentations. We've had several and we're going to continue to have them. So we'll see what we can do in the future, lining up more. But welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. And tonight's meeting is going to be a little bit different. I have changed a couple things and I'm going to save my president's message for just a few minutes before I get started into that. I don't want to start into that now. I do, however, need to share some slides with you. I'll put on slide share. I hope you all can see that nice and clearly. Come on. Whoops. Our Rotary mission is to promote integrity and advance world understanding. Right now, the world needs a lot of understanding, and I think it's gotten better because of Zoom, but we still need a lot more understanding around the world. We're supposed to promote goodwill and peace, and build our friendship and fellowship through business, professional associations, organizations, and the community. We're supposed to work in all these, and we do. Rotarians are people who are not just supposed to have a job. These are people who do have a job, people who are stepping out, making a difference in the world. Rotarians are making it happen. For tonight's meeting, there's some protocols. We would like you to please leave your microphone off until you are called upon to turn it on. That way we won't have any background noise to interrupt our speaker this evening. And please leave your camera on so we can see the full panorama of your smiling face on the screen. For a better view of the speaker who is going to be speaking this evening, in the upper right-hand corner, if you click on the speaker's view, you will be able to see their face and fill the whole screen, which would be very nice. Also tonight, we ask you try not to speak about sex, religion, and politics. We know they creep into our discussions, but try not to make them too pointed at any individual or any organization. We know it does happen from time to time. And tonight's meeting will be recorded. Randall will be recording the meeting, and in a few days, he will make it available to everyone on our mailing list to see the tape or viewing of this presentation. Now, four-way test. We had the four-way test, as you all know, everybody on screen knows about the four-way test. And this is things that we think, say, and do. And I would ask all of you at this time, please turn on your microphone. Everybody, please turn on your microphone. Unmute yourself, everyone. I got you. More? Okay, all right. Now that everyone's unmuted, on the four-way test, I will read each one of the four-way tests. And if you will repeat them after I do, that's what we want to start our meeting. So the very first one, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
For anybody who's new in our meetings, you will find out that I have added a fifth one. Is it fun?
Is it fun?
Is it fun?
Is it fun?
Because it should be fun. Okay, please mute yourself again for everybody. Mute yourself again, please. Thank you all very, very much. Okay, at this time, I'm going to get off the screen share and I'm going to turn over to our secretary of our club and find out what news he has or information he'd like to share with us. Randall, what information do you have?
No news. It's the first day of September, which is Dien Znamia, so Day of Knowledge in Russia, and my kids are back in school and they survived the first day, so I'd be all very happy about that. On to day 2 tomorrow.
Oh, first day of school back in Russia. Very, very good. I don't see Natalia on board tonight. Okay. I got a message from Natalia, who is lives in Oregon in the United States, and she was going to Moscow with the Peace Pole program. And she's supposed to be there already. And I believe they have put a poll up. I was hoping she was going to be here tonight so she could give us a little bit of briefing on that. Does anybody on the screen have any information about Natalie's trip to Moscow for Peace Poles? Anyone?
I have a little bit of information. I spoke to her home club, Rotary Club of Beaverton, Oregon, last night, and they were having their peace committee meeting, and they got the funding. She got on a plane last Friday, arrived in Moscow. She spoke at the East Moscow Rotary Club a couple of days ago, and they said that she is planning on visiting St. Petersburg. She is also talking with the Rotary Club of Vladivostok. They are in talks with some people in China, and they have plans to put a peace pole where the convergence of Russia, China, and North Korea come. And she is also working with Dr. Sam Lee, who I heard he has already received designation of 7 spots on the Washington, D.C. Mall to plant peace poles, hopefully in conjunction with peace pole plantings in Moscow.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate the update. Again, I got a message saying that she was going, and I suggested that she contact Randall because right now I'm not in St. Petersburg. So if she's going to go there, she could possibly see Randall or visit one of the other people that we have in St. Petersburg at the current time. So thank you. Okay, and Randall, you have no other news, is that correct? None. All right, well, that's a surprise, but I will take your surprise. That's fine. I'm going to go forward with the president's opening comments. Tonight, I'd like to talk about, let me get back to my screen. I'd like to talk about the magazine, the Rotary magazine. Now, this is the September issue, September 21 issue. I found this online in Rotary 2 days ago. And on page 32, they had an interesting item. It says, this statement was made that when the deadly crisis has gripped the world, Rotary members leap into action. Well, I read through it, and what I found out was 18 months ago, the world basically grounded to a halt. And according to Mark Maloney, he said, stop the presses, stop the presses. He didn't want the magazine to go out. That was in March of 2020. It came back out in May of 2020, and it had a very strong message in it. His message was to everyone, please stop meeting face-to-face, have your meetings offline, and protect yourself and the people around you. This was his message, and he was very adamant about it, very strong about it back then. This article now in September 2021 is reviewing that and has a lot more information. We have found, I can go to the next slide. Next slide, oh, that's 2 slides. Well, yeah. We found out that in this article, reading it, as of in June of 2020, they published a first roundup of what happened with the COVID virus, what was going on. And at that time, our president, Holger Nack, was talking about every great challenge is an opportunity for renewal and growth. And as I see it, every great challenge is an opportunity for Rotarians to step up and get involved. We were packaging food, we were making a mask, we were distributing supplies, we were handing things out all over the world and trying to make it better. Not only trying to make it better, but we did. We had an impact. People saw that Rotary was there helping folks all over the world. That's very important for us because we know helping people is important and they won't ask for our help if they think they cannot get it. We need them to ask as well as we give. Also, the Rotary Foundation, as of this June, more than 27 million in global grant funding have gone directly to Rotary's COVID response and nearly 8 million in response to disaster funding. So you can see that we have not just been sitting around on our hands. Whoops, sorry about that. We have not been sitting around on our hands. We have actually been out there and making things happen. This is what Rotarians do. We are in the communities. We are out there with the people. We know that these people need help and we can help them. Now, in previous weeks, I'm going back to my main screen. In previous weeks, I had talked about you helping yourself, taking care of yourself. And I also talked about you looking around your neighbors. Look at the person next door. Look at the person across the street. Do those people need our help? Can we help our friends, not only our relatives, but our friends also, to be protected during this time? What do they need? And many of you, I know, are already taking action in your local community to help the local people. Please keep that up. Please keep that up. Most Rotarians, I want to say we're a logical bunch. I know we got some crazy people when we go to conventions, but usually we're pretty logical and usually we're pretty straightforward with taking care of ourselves and helping others. This is something you don't usually have to tell a Rotarian to do. They do it automatically, just out of response. But I wanted you to know that the September issue is going to be out shortly of the magazine. Please go look at it, see what has been done, and I think you're going to be proud of what Rotarians have been doing around the world to try to help this situation. But we do not need to quit now. We need to keep going. We have no idea how long this will last. So therefore, it's important for us to keep up our efforts. I ask all of you to please think about keeping up that effort. Green share. All right. Whoop. We have got a handsome young man, as you can see from the picture. We have got a handsome young man who's going to be talking to us about the Russia-UK ICC. Now, Urs Halter is an interesting young man. He was originally from Switzerland, and he kind of decided he wanted to get into business. He did a variety of different jobs, many of them. My list I have in front of me here is very, very long. But I thought it was interesting that he also moved to London. And in London, he has had an impact. He's the past president of the Rotary Club of Chelsea. And of course, he's a Paul Harris Fellow. We know that someone his stature is not going to be not a Paul Harris Fellow. He is for sure. He's fluent in German and in English. And he says his Russian is not so good. Well, your Russian's probably better than mine. So that's still noteworthy. You can get around. He is a person who does not believe in sitting still. When it looks at the things that he has done from the transportation industry, the bus industry, many things he has accomplished. And the list is very, very long, but we're not here tonight to hear about his long list. You can find that online where Randall posted about Urs and his background. What we want to find out from Urs is we want to find out what's going on with this Russian-UK ICC. I made a comment earlier as I was joking that I want to hear about the UK and the USSR, but I understand the USSR is gone. So we want to hear about Russia, UK, and the ICC. So without any further ado, I'm going to close my screen and turn it over to our young speaker that we have tonight as a guest. Urs, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much for lying and making me much younger than I actually am. There we go. Очень рад. That's all my Russian there. So thank you very much for inviting me to give a talk. It's an honor to present the British or Russian British ICC at such a salubrious club. And Elena Matveeva from the Moscow East Club, who is the young lady with her very trendy hairstyle, much to Kai Uwe's envy, I suppose. She will be talking about the projects in more detail that we have at the ICC. Now, just a couple of words about my person. As your president said, I was born and grew up in Switzerland. My career started with Citibank in Zurich, short spell in Lugano, and then for about a year in London, which was a very exciting time. Then in 1977, due to the ill health of our father, my brother and I decided to take over the family company, which was a bus company, one of the very few privately owned public transport company in Switzerland. And being green or environmentally conscious, we did a lot of work with catalytic converters and diesel particulate filters, testing them on our buses. So much so that a Swiss engineering group invited me to start up a company or subsidiary for them in London. And at my advanced age, this was one in a lifetime opportunities really to start up a company on a blank piece of paper with an accountant who would send me more money if I needed any. It was a very exciting, interesting time promoting the technology Hook Engineering produced. These were catalytic converters, diesel particulate filters and such like for large application, all non-automotive in the early stages. Sadly, the parent company ran into financial trouble and I had to stop my appointment in 2012 and have been working as an independent consultant in London ever since. I still promote emission reduction systems for diesel engines and turbines, and interestingly enough, I suppose for you, promoting a Russian freezing technology in Europe. Right, my Rotary career started in 1998 when I was a founding member of the Rotary Club Wiel Hinterthurgau, which is a tongue twister, I suppose, for most of you. And interestingly enough, the parent club, which was Rotary Club Wiel without the Hinterthurgau, my grandfather was a founding member, and some 40 years later, I became a founding member of the daughter club that Club of Wiel started in 1998. My father happened to be Lions, but they say it always jumps a generation. So I carry on the good work from my grandpa. Then I moved to London in 2007, became a member of the Rotary Club Chelsea in 2008, remained there till 2017, was president twice, not because I'm particularly good, but because they didn't have enough people to run as presidents. We were down when I joined to about 6 or 7 members at the time. So obviously you had to do jobs a couple of times. In later years, we grew again, luckily. And in 2017, we decided to merge with the Kensington Club. Now, the Kensington Club was initiated the Chelsea Club in 1928, I think. And in the time from 2008, when I joined Chelsea, to 2017, we had 3 attempts to merge. And the last attempt was successful. And I was, well, privileged, I guess, to be part of the merger team. And I can tell you that I think we all underestimated the challenge of merging 2 clubs. So we spent an awful lot of time discussing whether the club should be called Rotary Club of Kensington and Chelsea, or Chelsea and Kensington. So much so that I threatened to walk out of a meeting and said, listen, guys, we have to think about the people who suffer. We were then collecting money for blastoma project in Tanzania, helping children to be able to see. And I said, you have to bear in mind those children. We can give a vision for the future rather than whether it's Chelsea and Kensington or Kensington and Chelsea. Anyway, eventually we managed, and I became treasurer and was president in the last Rotary year. And sadly, the first and hopefully only president who never had a meeting face to face. It was all on Zoom, which was quite frustrating. Then, as mentioned, I became a Harris Fellow. I'm an honorary member of the Rotary Club Westminster West, and now chair of the British Russian ICC. And recently I was key to founding a new club in Kurdistan, which was almost as challenging as starting the Russian ICC, because Kurdistan happens to be between Turkey and Iraq, and they're not the best of friends. And within Iraq, the Kurds are not recognized. So it was quite a challenge, but the club is up and running. Right, major projects during my time. We collected books from Mongolia, sent a whole container load, mainly school books. Now, obviously, nowadays you probably send more laptops than books. Then we organized a concert at the Cadogan Hall, which is one of the major concert halls in London, and managed to sell 650 tickets, which was not bad at all, and for the benefit of one of the London hospices. Then one of my projects I was happy to follow up a number of years later was to promote a girls' school in India. We provided these benches because they didn't have benches. They had to sit on the floor. They didn't have books. They had the times table written on the wall because they couldn't afford to have paper. And I insisted it had to be a girls' school because then, and I suspect still today, the female generation is a sort of second class, still second class citizens in India. So I was lucky to actually go there physically and see what we did as Rotary. I was overwhelmed by the hospitality of the local club. They treated me like a god, and I had to insist it wasn't me that did it, I just facilitated it. The brief story is that I met the district governor from that area in India when he was traveling to Chicago, and met him in London. And then we decided we start, or he said, shall we start what was then what was called now, I think, a global grant So anyway, this was a fantastic experience, and it really showed me how much you can do with Rotary. Then a few words to Kensington and Chelsea. Kensington was the first club, was chartered in 1925. Chelsea followed 3 years later. As I said, we merged in 2017. We now have 32 members and 14 nationalities, which is very enriching, quite fascinating, and sort of, yeah, shows what Rotary is and can do. Quite different, obviously, to other local clubs in the UK. It's District 1130, which has 65 clubs. Then the president's chair, I was asked to elaborate on this wonderful chair we have. Well, it goes back to the Second World War, when 4 of our members, or the Chelsea members that is, were killed through the Blitz bombing. And there was one night on the 16th of April, 1941, in this air raid, we lost the president, the incoming president, and the secretary, and their families as well. And we happened to be the club with the biggest loss in London due to these air raids. So in commemoration of the 4 members who died during the war, this chair was commissioned, and it's designated to the 4 gentlemen who lost their lives during World War II. Now, we're also happy now that we had a German president who was an army officer, and had a German lady professor who were members of the club and were sitting in that very chair, which is a sign of reconciliation, and we're very proud of that and very happy. Nowadays, the chair has other functions. It's the president's chair. It's his privilege to sit in there. On this particular occasion, we were celebrating the charter of the Rotary Club we founded. So much for the chair. Now, Rotary International, a few words. There are quite significant differences between clubs, countries, and people. So I was stunned 2 years ago when I visited a Rotary Club in Cannes in the south of France, international city. There was a film festival going on, and there's still no ladies in that club. They told me 2 years ago they had yet another vote, and they were all anonymously against having women, which I found really amazing. By the same token, I came across a club in Cairo, well, that's maybe 10 years ago, for only women were allowed in that club, which I found amazing in a place like Egypt. But it's still the case today, I don't really know. I also remember that when we started our club in Switzerland, every week the secretary would write a summary of what was discussed at the club, have it printed and sent it by snail mail, by mail, to all of the members, which is hard to imagine that you would do it in this day and age. Now, obviously, they do it by email. What I also found is that Rotary in Central Europe is very elitist. So particularly in Germany, Switzerland, Austria, France, you have to be somebody of consequence to be invited to Rotary. So it's not like in the UK, for instance, where it's a lot easier, or in central London and other countries, it's very difficult to become a member. I found, and visited a number of other clubs, and came to this conclusion. Now it's changing the character as well, the Rotary clubs. When we started a club in Switzerland, it was the local butcher, the local lawyer, the car sales guy from the garage. It was all local businessmen who joined the club. Now, sadly, in this day and age, there's probably no local butcher anymore, and there's no local bakery. They're just chains, and there are no local managers that actually live in the village. This is probably particularly true in big cities. So the club I joined in Switzerland, or was founding member of, is quite different to the club I'm a member of now. And obviously nothing new under the sun. It's the people who make Rotary and make the club. Now, finally, Russian-British ICC. My first contacts with Russia go back to 2015, which is quite some time ago. And as probably all of you, or most of you, being non-Russians, had problems with communication at first. I was unfortunate that I went to Moscow for a long weekend, which happened to be the coldest weekend for 40 years. It was minus 35 degrees. There was lots of snow. I was trying to find the underground, which was not easy, not speaking any Russian. Eventually, I found a tube station, went in, but didn't have a map in Cyrillic, so I was lost. Now, the ticket office, the lady had a wonderful tube map behind her, and I said, I want a map like this so I can see where I am and where I'm going in Cyrillic. And she didn't understand a word. Luckily, there was a young student behind me who spoke a bit of English and told me, if you want a map like this, you have to go to a bookshop and buy it in a bookshop. And I was totally lost, because how the hell did they expect me with minus 35 degrees, snow, to find a bookshop before I could actually go on the underground? So there are lots of problems with the language and communication. I then, understandably, I suppose, made contact not only with Russian, but with German-speaking clubs in Moscow. There are, interestingly enough, 2 German-speaking clubs in Moscow and only 1 English-speaking club. So I stuck to, initially, to the German-speaking clubs. There I met the then defense attaché of the Swiss embassy in Moscow, who subsequently became a friend of mine. Now, he opened my eyes, because when I started coming to Russia, it was sort of hidden behind a screen. It was unpredictable. I was obviously a victim of all these spy films and God knows negative information about the Soviet Union and Russia, and expected spies behind every corner. People told me, be very careful when you go to Russia. It's a dangerous place. Putin is a dangerous man, is unpredictable, and God knows what all. Now, talking to Bruno, my friend from the Swiss embassy, he told me a number of stories which were really shocking and opened my eyes that we in the West, by and large, are really being told what the government or certain forces want us to hear. So, for instance, he told me of a Swiss delegation who came to Russia. He joined them. It was a military delegation. The Russians showed them some of their sites, and they went back. And one of the journalists from a reputed Swiss newspaper wrote something quite different to what he actually was shown. And that really shocked me. As a good Swiss, I would trust a Swiss newspaper to report what actually is the case, but it wasn't. And then, I suppose, being a Rotarian, I found, well, I have to try and rectify this. I was then introduced to ICC by Andrei Egorov, who I think he was a founding member of the Russian US ICC. He told me all about these ICCs, which I didn't know before. So I reckoned it was high time to have a British-Russian ICC. Now, starting the ICC in the UK was not easy, because not only would all the districts in the United Kingdom, all the district governors in the United Kingdom give their consent to starting ICC, which was almost unsurmountable because there are about 40 districts, 30 or 40 districts. So you would have to talk to all these districts. Luckily, this changed while we were in the process of starting the ICC. Also, I found that within Rotary clubs in the UK, certain resistance against Russia. There were still members, I'm sorry to say, in our club who said, oh, even Russian Rotarians are devious. You can't trust them. They just want to suss you out and find out more about what we're doing in the West. I mean, it was like the Cold War had never stopped. But despite all the negative aspects, we did it, and it was really a historic meeting with Rotarian Charles Heberley III, who I think all of you know. He gave a talk at your club a couple of months ago. And he was the one who said, just do it. Don't worry, just pragmatically move forward and do it and start it. And he gave me the thrust to just say, well, never mind what people say, just do it if you feel it is a good thing. Then I had decisive contact with Elena from Rotary Club Moscow East, and I could sort of convince her and twist her arm to say that we should really start this ICC. Would she become the chair on the Russian side? And she fortunately agreed, and we both then decided that we will go ahead. Just one remark that maybe in this context is important. During the phase we started or tried to start this ICC, the Salisbury incident happened where allegedly 2 Russian spies tried to kill this former Russian spy in Salisbury, and that caused a lot of upheaval and negative press about Russia. And just to give you an idea as well, I don't know how well this was reported on Russian television last night. Was shocking news that a journalist called Sarah Rainsford was expelled as a journalist after having worked for the BBC in Russia for 20 years. The reason given was that she was a national security threat. Now, obviously they displayed such, this petite, lovely woman should be a threat to Russia. So you as a viewer think, God, what are these people up to? So things like these obviously don't help with a Russian-British ICC, but of course we'll overcome it. Now, some more details about the ICC. As a first step, Kensington and Chelsea twinned with the Rotary Club of Moscow East on the 11th of the 11th, 19. Then we wanted to charter the ICC at the UNESCO event in Paris, celebrating 75 years of the UN. Sadly, it didn't happen because of COVID. It was cancelled. So the charter actually took place on the 29th of May in 2020, and obviously was all online. And I think we were the first ICC to be chartered online. Then we had planned some chamber concerts in London and Moscow. The idea was to have local and reciprocal artists performing at the ambassadors' residences, which in both countries are absolutely gorgeous venues. But again, it didn't happen because of COVID. We're planning to support a music school for visually impaired children and exchange of youth, musician competition, and lots more. But Elena will tell you more about this. And for me, all I have to say, spasibo bolshoi. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Urs. Thank you very, very much. I didn't know that we were going to have two speakers tonight, so now I'm a little surprised, but that's okay, no problem. We can manage that. I believe Elena's already online on board here, if I'm not mistaken. She's already signed in as a viewer tonight, right?
She has, and my apologies, but I did mention it.
Yeah, no problem, that's fine. I didn't catch it, so it's my fault, no problem, that's fine. She's on board tonight, correct? She's one of our people already on the screen.
It's a lovely young lady there with a trendy hairstyle. You can't miss her.
Lovely lady with a trendy hairstyle. Ah, I see her over there. Okay. Elena, do you have any slides you're going to show, or are you just going to speak?
Not now, not just now. Maybe about the project. First of all, I'm very happy to be among you. Really, it's an honor for me, and thank you, Urs, for such kind of presenting me with my hairstyle. I'm at school, still at school, so today is my holiday as 1st of September, our school day we start. So your story about your first days in Moscow reminded me of a song of Chris de Burgh, Moonlight and Vodka. Maybe you know, it's a famous song. It was very funny to listen to it, great. So as I said, as Urs has already told you about our organization, how we organize our ICC. We organized it not in proper time. It was just at the height of the global lockdown. Yes, it was like a dream, our plan. We were to chart it in Paris in March 2020, when Paris was to host the Rotary Peace Conference under the patronage of UNESCO. And it was the 75th anniversary of the creation of the United Nations. So we got it later and celebrated online. It's our life now. And of course, before it was really a mutual work. First, we signed the Twin Club agreement and took part in some club small projects. Our main project is called Music as a New Life. It's adaptation of the English methodology of teaching blind and visually impaired children for the Russian education system. As Urs has already mentioned, we organized 2 online concerts just before Christmas and Easter, where the musicians from both parts performed, and we raised some money. It's about £1,000 for this project. And the project is interesting. Why? Because this methodology of teaching blind people to music, as far as I remember, only 2 countries have. It's Australia and Great Britain. So we are very happy that we found such kind of project, and our ex-president, chairman of our president, that's the president of our club last year. He is a musician itself, and just yesterday we had a fundraising concert for the project. So our club just now has a project for people with children with cerebral palsy, and we buy verticalization. It's like bicycles, special equipment for such kind of children with disabilities. And it's a global grant. We have raised already some money, and at the same time we are looking for some partners or sponsors who may take part in this project. You know, according to the rules, we need to have certain percent, maybe 30% of foreign clubs to be at the project. So if somebody will be interested in this project, I may send in YouTube, we have a very nice video about the project in English. Okay, thank you. I was very happy just to have such a chance.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elena. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, what I'd like to do at this time is I'd like to open the floor up for questions, for either yours or for Elena. If you raise your hand physically on the screen, I'll see you, and then we can have you ask your question. I know Randall is our infamous person with questions every week, so we will start with Randall. I'm sure he has something he'd like to ask, either yours or Elena.
I thought you were more infamous than me, Michael, but I know that I'm infamous too. I have one question. I was very intrigued that you started talking about the challenges of merging 2 clubs, and that it was very surprising what how significant the challenges were. And I wonder if you could embellish a bit on what some of those were.
Yes, like I said, we had 3 attempts to merge the 2 clubs, and it sort of started with one club being down to 6 or 7 members.
You're muted right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like waves. It was one club wanting to merge, the other one didn't. And then 5 years later, it was the reverse because of the number of members and circumstances. And when we managed finally to merge, we spent almost a year negotiating the merger. Like I said, one of the major stumble stones was the name, because we had members at Chelsea Club who said, if it's Kensington and Chelsea and not Chelsea and Kensington, I will resign. And then it was the question of, obviously, the money that the 2 clubs brought into the new club. Then there was the question of who would be the first president. How would you choose the members of the president, the secretary? You had to balance it between the two former clubs. And after we officially merged and were one club, it took more than a year till people started thinking as one club rather than a former member of Chelsea or former member of Kensington. So it is very challenging, and the district sort of says that merging two weak clubs will not, or often not, make one strong club. We had a couple of cases in the London district where two weak clubs with few numbers or few members merged, and then after a number of years fell apart. So it's not easy to bring together two philosophies into one new philosophy, especially if you have members who've been member of that club for 20 or 30 years who say, well, I'm a member of Chelsea. I don't want to have to do anything with Kensington. So yeah, it was very challenging.
Just curious, I'm not that familiar with London. Chelsea and Kensington adjacent? Or are they
Yes.
physically? Yeah, okay.
Yes. And actually it was, ironically, it was Kensington who started the Chelsea club after 3 years, because they had too many members and they said, well, you know, we want to start another club and not have more than 60 members, I think, at the time. And that's how Chelsea became into being. So it was actually our parent club we would have had to merge. But then all this history comes up, and
Were both clubs mixed, men and women, or what's that status?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that
Yeah.
wasn't a problem.
Okay. No.
Okay,
Thank you.
this, 1 second, David. This obviously is a problem that other people have experienced, and I believe there are a myriad of different ways of trying to make it work. But going through that experience, I'm sure taught you a few things about getting ready to try to put this ICC together of two different countries and give you some insight into those things. So I'm sure that helped a little bit. David has got a question. David Fishman,
Yes,
go ahead.
Urs, you mentioned that among the members of the club, there are 14 different nationalities. How did that come about? Is it sort of an expat club, or does it just so happen that this is the like in other capital cities, there's a lot of people with diverse backgrounds?
Well, I suppose it is the latter, because Chelsea sort of reflects London, the diversity of London. And yeah, I suppose it's because we are a central club. Chelsea is very central to London. And one particularity about London clubs is exactly what we were saying. People move, it's translucent all the time. You know, the international managers or employees come to London for 3 years and they move on. And then they all are gone. And then you have to constantly renew yourself. And Chelsea and Kensington nowadays are very, very wealthy areas where the super rich live. Lots of, well, Russian oligarchs reside in Chelsea. They have these wonderful palaces and are hardly ever there. So like I said earlier, you don't have local butchers and bakeries. It's just the super, mainly the super rich. And obviously they not likely to become Rotary members. And if you walk down a high street, you have a manager of a big organization who cannot decide anything. Like before, you know, he was the owner. Now he's just appointed for 6 months to run that shop, and then they move on. So it's actually very difficult to keep a decent number of members in central London.
Okay, thank you, Urs. Appreciate that. I've got a question for you. I'd like to ask more about your ICC. Currently, with your UK Russian ICC, how many current members are active or current members are participating now in that?
Well, we have about 40 members subscribed to the ICC, but as to activities, it's very, very difficult because we've never ever met in person.
Right.
And that doesn't help. And like Elena said, we had these 2 concerts where we sort of saw each other that small on the monitor. And so it's very difficult to do something actively. And now that, it seems to get better, but just to give you an idea, if I want to come to Russia, I have to have a visa. Now, it used to take 2 weeks for a visa, tourist visa. Now, since 2 years, I think, it takes at least 4 weeks. And that's just political.
And that's a short time. That's a short time.
Yeah.
Most of the people in our club, most of us are expats. So many of us have similar situations or have dealt with the visa problems and back and forth previous years. I'm in Florida today, and I've been here 8 weeks, and I'm still waiting, and I probably will wait another 8 weeks. Who knows? Until mine goes through. So because of the backlog, it's very, very difficult now getting visas and American passports are also very difficult to get. But anyway, it does take longer now. So, but I was curious about the members. So do you feel you have 5 or 10 or 20 out of those 40 people who are active? How many do you think you have active?
Well, if we really got going, I'm sure there would be between 15 and 20 who would actively participate, but I can't really see a way while we're working at it, how we can best start the ICC in earnest.
Okay. Yeah, and you're being an online ICC is something a little bit different than the previous ICCs that were set up. So you're building the way or leading the way for the future, because this may be happening more often in the future. We don't know what the future lies ahead. So maybe you're setting new ground for this. Okay, good. Another question from someone.
Just if I may add a point, talking about Zoom and virtual meetings, we found, including my colleagues from Switzerland, that despite the fact that you can join the meeting from home, just press a button, less and less members attending the meetings. So some of my Swiss clubs or friends from Swiss clubs, they've reduced it to 2 meetings a month because members didn't attend on Zoom. But once you're back on face-to-face, people come again.
Yeah, well, that's quite possible. Here at our club, we have been up to last spring, 30 and 40 people almost every meeting coming on board, and we only have 7 members, but we draw 30 or 40 people to our meetings because
you're amazing.
So for us, we're very lucky. We're very fortunate to be in that situation.
Indeed.
Part of it is because of the speakers we bring in, and part of it is just because folks want to hear about Russia and the rest of the world. So it's very, very helpful. So another question from the gallery. Questions, anybody? I don't see anybody raising any hands. Come on, folks. I'm sure you have a question in the back.
Can I ask a question, please?
Go right ahead, Lisa, go ahead.
Hi, I want to say thank you to Randall for inviting me to the club tonight. I'm from, we know each other from Shanghai. I'm a member of Rotary Club. But I know Randall from Shanghai when I was the president of the Rotary Club of Shanghai, China. And I'm also a Londoner, so I'm familiar with, I'm not familiar with the Rotary Club of Chelsea, but I'm familiar with the Rotary Club of Westminster and Westminster International, because we actually had the president, Nadine Pemberton, come over to Shanghai. It was just a coincidence. Someone asked me if I would meet up with her because she was coming over to Shanghai. She didn't know anyone. And I met up with her there. And then I went to visit her club, but I didn't have a chance to see Chelsea. But that actually drew me to the meeting tonight because it's so nice to hear from someone from my neck of the woods around the way. And that's it. I just really enjoyed hearing about tonight. And it was just interesting to hear about the fact that there are some clubs that didn't have women in. And also it was interesting to hear about some of the obstacles that some people faced in their clubs because, you know, they were Russian and they might have been looked at with suspicion and so on and so forth, which I'd never thought about before. So yeah, I really enjoyed this meeting. So I just wanted to say that.
Very
Thank you
good.
very much.
Thank you for your comments, Lisa. And as you're currently in Shanghai, I'm sure before you went to Shanghai, people told you all kinds of crazy stories. And then when you went there, you found out that 90% of them weren't true. So it's the same way that you're.
I'm actually, yeah, I was in Shanghai, but I'm actually in Tokyo now because my husband's Japanese. We moved to Tokyo, but you were so correct. I heard so many crazy stories. And then when I went to Shanghai, I had the most amazing time. So you never know.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what yours was talking about it for sure. Before you go somewhere like this, you hear these stories, about so many stories about the Russian bears and the Russian vodka and the fat Americans and all the other stuff you hear. You hear so many back and forth stories that you never know what to believe. So my method is I don't believe anything that they say in America about Russia. And I don't believe anything they say in Russia about America until I go to the country itself and then make up my mind. So otherwise I get
That's so true. I just wanted to add another point is when I was I got a scholarship to study in Shanghai and my roommate was from Siberia. And if you're a Brit growing up, your parent will always say, it's as cold as Siberia in this room. And when she said she was from Siberia, I was like, that's a real place? Because to me, it was like an imaginary place. It wasn't like a real place at all. So yeah.
Yeah, southern Siberia is not quite as cold as northern Siberia, and there's a big difference, but everybody thinks about the northern side. So, okay, another question from somebody on the floor. Anyone? Antonina, you usually have a question every week. What you got for us tonight?
Yes, I already raised my hand just for a second. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
For Urs, I am a member of ICC, Canada, Russia. And I'm freshly, one of the fresh joint member of this ICC. So only 1 year. And I never realized before you spoke that it was not easy to start ICC Canada, Russia, because I just kind of transferred your experience into what my colleagues from Canada, Russia, ICC experienced when they started it. I also can see that there is not much enthusiasm among Canadian districts and clubs to be involved in this activity as well. But what I also got as a message from your presentation today is every project is getting stronger by people, by right people joining. And maybe it's matter of time for these people to find you. And just we have to be persistent. Maybe like in any businesses you started in the past, we just have to keep it going if we believe in a purpose. So, and time will tell. Usually it goes to the best, you know, especially when financial risks are not so much involved. It's more about personal ethical and personal purposes, we have to invest into project, really. So if any help of me and our ICC Canada Russia to your ICC, please do address it to me. My contact information is in the chat and I can send it to you as well. And thank you very much. I really enjoyed seeing both languages in your presentation, and English mainly, but also some Russian, because it's very important to keep this way when you create ICC, because language barrier, it's not just a language barrier, it's all using two languages. It's also, to me at least, sign of respect to both sides. You know what I mean? And it's not easy. Michael agrees. It's not easy to keep a Russian language even in a St. Petersburg International as language of conversation. But it definitely makes your audience and participants broader.
Right.
You know? So anyway,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Urs, and please use my contact information if you need it. Okay.
Thank you very much. Indeed, you're absolutely right. It's like I said, it's the people who make Rotary, and it's the people who make ICC. But just to give you another example, I'm doing some business with Russia as well. And apart from the fact that the ruble isn't easily tradable, I tried to open an account, a euro account, trading with Russia. And one of the questions from the bank was, who do you deal with? And the first time I applied for an account, I stupidly admitted I deal with Russia. And they turned around and said literally that we don't have appetite to open an account with you. And I'm sure it was the fact that I mentioned the company does business with Russia. So just to give you an idea that things are not easy or can be very difficult.
There's an awful lot of stumbling blocks, yours. And one of the things that we have found in our members who show up at our meetings that we've been having now for almost 2 years is the fact that they are all picking up little tidbits of things that they need to think about before coming to Russia or doing business with Russia or interconnecting with Russia back and forth. There are many, many, many little things to learn. I've been here 15 years or been in Russia 15 years, and I'm still learning every day I was there about little things to do differently, doing business there and so forth as a businessman. Okay, next question. We got time for about 2 more questions. Anyone? Any raise of any hands? No raise of any hands. Okay, I don't see any. All right, so for yours and for Elena, I would like for all of us, the rest of the people, let's give those two a round of applause for their information tonight. Thank you very much, Urs.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, because we're very, very interested in something that that myself and my other colleagues and my members of my club may work on in the future. Maybe what we need to think about is one evening this fall or winter, when it's cold and everybody's looking for something to do, is to bring the 4 or 5 ICCs online for a meeting at one time, a representative from all of them, and have all of them together to be able to share the information. I don't mean all the members of all the ICCs, but at least one representative from each one of the 4 or 5 to compare notes, to talk, to discuss, to find out what some of the problems are between the different ICCs in Russia. Maybe that's something we can think about working on in the future. Something else while we're on. Go ahead, go right ahead.
That's very timely, because the current president of the Kensington at Chelsea Club is the chair of the British-Italian ICC. So we've got 2 ICC chairs in our club.
Yes, Randall, go ahead.
Just one quick question. I apologize, but what is the actual formal name? Is it British UK ICC or Russian British ICC or Russian UK
Well,
ICC?
don't ask me, but my understanding
I'll
is
ask Yelena.
my understanding is that in the UK it's the British Russian, and in Russia it's the Russian British ICC.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Elena, is that
Flex-
correct?
Correct,
Flexibility.
correct, yeah.
Flexibility is the key to air power. So you folks are flexible, therefore you have the power to get things done. So thank you both very, very much. We appreciate that. I only have a little bit more business that I need to go through, and then I'm going to ask our guests to make some comments, but I just got a couple more small things I need to take care of. Don't forget our project, people. Our clubs, our signature project for our club is our Children's Rehabilitation Center, where they take care of children who have cerebral palsy. Our goal for this year is to sponsor 10 children. We have 4.9. They're about done. We haven't quite got the fifth one yet. That should be arranged here very shortly to have the fifth one. And then we got 5 more to go this year. We need your help to reach this goal. Some of the people on the screen have already donated to us. Thank you very, very much for your donations. We really appreciate that. But we are also seeking more donations from other clubs. And we have information on our website and other places about our charity. But these children deserve to run, walk, play. They have cerebral palsy and they have a problem. But every child who breathes a breath, everyone deserves to walk and run and play like other children. And having cerebral palsy and not being able to do it is a catastrophic event in people's life, and it should never happen. Well, the children who have that are now getting some help. We're helping them, you are helping them, and Rotary is helping them. And we need you to help us support this project and make it a success. It is our signature project. Please help us. Please donate if you can. Or if your club is interested in finding out more about it, please contact us and we will be happy to provide information to you. Either Randall, who is on the screen tonight, or Andres Bone, who is our treasurer, will be happy to talk to you about how you can contribute. All the contributions, 100% go directly to the rehabilitation center. There's no money going anywhere other than direct. So if you have questions, you want to contact us, please do that. This is not a sales campaign, but it is an ask for help. So our speaker is coming up. Let's see, today was the first. Yep, yours was here, that's for sure. Okay.
Michael, that's wrong. It's not Boris
Randall,
Witkowski next week.
let me
It's
finish. I was
Derek
getting ready to
Norberg.
say- I was getting ready to say that, if you just hold on a second. The meeting on the 8th September, Boris was not able to make it. So Boris is going to be out, and we're going to have a substitute, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Then on the 15th, we'll have Natalia here with her Open World program. Philip is going to be here to talk about his glasses program. And Sergey, I think I seen you said something about Rubis, Randall. His project is something called RUBIS. Something like that.
Yep, that's correct.
I think so. Okay. Boris had to drop out, unfortunately. He was not able to, and we had a replacement for him. Randall, will you tell us who the replacement is on the 8th of September?
On the 8th of September, it's Derek Norberg, who's the head of, oh my God, what's it called? He's based in Seattle, and he is running a US-Russia
Relations program.
David Fishman might be able to help me with the proper name of it. It's
David, you remember the name?
Citizen Diplomacy. I'll find it. I'll find it and put it in the chat.
I'll rescue you here, Randall. No problem. I put you on the spot. My apologies. Derek is going to be talking about US-Russian relations. That's what his presentation is going to be about. So he's going to give us his viewpoint. He was on board, came to our meeting a while back, was very excited about it. So he's going to be here and has his own perspective on the US and Russian relations. And he'll be talking to us next week on 8 September, same time, same channel. And I welcome you here and bring guests because it should be interesting. He was an interesting person to have at our meeting. He asked good questions. And I think he will be very interesting when he has an opportunity to speak with us. So those are my presidential duties that I needed to get out of the way. And now at this time, I would like to ask, first of all, to my members that I have on the screen, if they have any additional comments. We'll start with Rami in Moscow. Rami, anything else you'd like to bring up? He's probably away from his computer, probably walking.
No comment. Sorry about that. Yeah, no comment.
All right, that's fine. I mean, no problem. I know I caught you by surprise. That's fine. Gabriella, you are an honorary member of our club. Any comments?
Yes, I just can tell you that the day after tomorrow, Andreas Bohne and his family, they will come and see us, and he will join me on Monday to come to our club and also to present our the Center of Rehabilitation. And our club already agreed to pay for 2 therapies for 2 children. So far, we had difficulty with the contract, but I think everything now is settled, and he will discuss it again. But I think everything is fine with us.
Good. Thank you for the update. We appreciate that. We're looking for more coming in for our project so that we can help more children. Thank you very, very much. Antonina, you are also an honorary member of our club. Any comments?
No comments. It just may happen in October. I will be in St. Petersburg.
Ooh. Good.
No, not
I don't think I'll be back. I don't think I'll be back by then. I don't think I'll be back there by then.
Yeah. Okay.
I won't be.
I'm here.
But Randall will be there. Randall will be there for sure. Okay, thank you, Anthony.
I'll sit in your
Kai,
bench.
Kai, you're our past president. Kai, any comments, please?
Yeah, sorry, but I was absent for 3 minutes. I had ordered my dinner and it was too fast.
Okay, any comments, please?
Yeah, and Moscow, we have, as we said at the beginning, like a special day, 1st of September. So it's the not first day of school only, but also the first day of autumn. And so we have accomplished the summer, and now let's look forward.
Thank you, thank you. That was a hard thing for me to get used to when I went to Russia all these years. They keep saying that the 1st of September is the fall, and in America it's usually around the 21st. So, but I had to adjust because that's the way it is in Russia. So no problem. Thank you for your comments. Randall, any closing comments from you as a member?
I miss you, Michael. Come back to St. Petersburg.
Yes.
I would like to get back as soon as possible. My passport has to be processed first and then my visa. I talked to people about the visa and I'm getting a different type. They say it won't be very long to process it at all. It'll be very quick. But the passport is my issue right now and I'm working on it. So it's going to take a while. Last time that we looked, there was over 4 million Americans in queue for getting a new passport. So it's going to take a little while. We'll see how long that takes. All right, from our guests, and we have several on the screen. Do any of our guests have any closing comments? Maybe Eva, you have a comment? No? Yes?
Very nice to be with you. I'm sitting here in Ottawa, capital of Canada, and having a visit. We are having a holiday, so there's no Rotary Club where, unfortunately, my Rotary Club meets at 12:30. So when I join your meeting, I always have to leave early. I only get the first half hour usually, but today we're having a holiday, so I could stay for the whole meeting and hear the speaker to the end. I have a little job in my Rotary Club, and that is to lead them in the national anthem. We've not been doing it because it is impossible to sing together in Zoom. So what they do is they mute themselves and they sing, and I do the solo. So we're trying to keep up all the traditions, or at least not let Mr. COVID take away from us the things that we don't want him to take away. He takes away lots of things. So we wanted to keep our meeting going traditionally. So we we've made this little we've made this little thing work for us.
Very,
So
very
great
good.
to
And
be,
I'm
always great to be with you.
thank you. And I'm very happy to hear about your singing. Several clubs have had singing before, but singing the national anthem as a local club is an important thing. So any way that you work it out to be able to do that is a good thing. That's a very positive.
I was in Kyoto doing a makeup in Japan one year in the 70s. And they said, you're here on a very auspicious day, you Canadian, doing a makeup in our club. And I thought maybe they meant because I was a woman and I did not see another woman in a room of about 60 men. They said, this is our first day since 1945 for Rotary to sing the national anthem of Japan. So I was there on the first day that they brought the national anthem back into the Rotary Club meetings in Japan. So it was an auspicious day for them. And I remember that. We're not patriotic to be divisive. We're patriotic to be wishing the best for our community in which we live.
Right. Reminds us of heritage, and that's very, very important. We're not trying to be restrictive. Yes. Just our heritage we're trying. Antonina, had your hand up for a second there, dear. You had a short question? No? Okay.
No, I was commenting that in our club, I was also starting Canadian autumn, always. Yeah, and and when being in the past with group study exchange, it was 98 here in district 70, 80. I opened with Canadian autumn district conference with more than 300 people. You know, I don't know how I did it.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Antonina. Appreciate it. Our club is different. Our club has 6 members from 5 different countries. We're all going to stand up and sing our own country song at the same time. That ought to be fun. Don't read anybody record it. So that'd be something different. Giovanni, you've been with us all evening long. You have any comments? It says he's an ICC coordinator. No, maybe not. How about Nadezhda? Nadezhda, any comments, please? Any comments?
Sorry, but I didn't attend to all your meeting because I was busy in other matter.
Oh, sorry.
I congratulate your initiative. I wrote to Mr. Urs Halter. I had some contact with his actual president, Michele Porfido, Italian, for a global grant of my club, Ancona Conero, District 2090.
And are you a member of the Italy-Russian ICC?
I am a coordinator of ICC, Italy, Malta, San Marino, and the Russian Federation. I was many times to St. Petersburg, and I meet my friend Olga Kolmogorov, my counterpart, very good friend, and I met also other club of St. Petersburg, also in Moscow. I didn't meet your club 3 years ago. No, no. I am wrong. I meet the president of 2018. The president, Mrs. I don't remember the name. At our final dinner, final dinner with when we organized a tour of St. Petersburg with my club.
Okay.
I meet also your past president, Mrs. I don't remember the name.
That's okay.
Mrs. Irina Shostakova.
Grazie. Grazie, Olga. Thank you, Olga.
Thank you, Giovanni. You're welcome to come anytime. Come join us again.
Sorry, but I was in my car.
No, that's fine. We appreciate you taking the effort to come by.
We can admire my mask.
That's a Rotary mask. All right.
Rotary and IFR fellowship.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Olga, before we come to you for a second, I sort of asked Nadezhda if she had any comments. Nadezhda?
Good evening to everybody. Certainly, I'd love to tell about such initiative to provide such interesting projects. In our club, we as well decided to set up a program with Mumbai Soba Club as well to sing songs from their side. Nowadays they're training the song Katyusha, and we try to train the song from which song the famous actor, Indian actor Raj Kapoor from the comedy. And as well, it is an interesting idea to be on Zoom and to be together.
Very good. Thank you, Nadezhda. Thank you very much. Olga, you're Giovanni's partner. Your comments on tonight's meeting.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Mr. President Michael and Secretary Randall and Urs and Yelena for presentations. Yes, I am coordinator also for all ICCs in Russia. So I really appreciate your topic that you invite ICCs to your meetings. And of course, I try to join these meetings. And if all Russian Rotarians who are leading the ICCs, they know we are connected, so we might ask questions or help for each other. And I noticed from one meeting to another, one common thing, of course, that there is interest in different countries to know more about Russia, about Russian people, Russian Rotarians. And of course, I appreciate that very much personally, and as my task, my service in Rotary is asking for it. And of course, from UK, I met one president from middle of England. I don't remember the city. And I felt that he was so happy to find some Rotarians in St. Petersburg. So I think also we heard from American Rotarians that when they bring people who meet people in Russia, that changes minds, changes attitude. Right. So today when we hear that in UK there was some resistance, some doubts if to make this ICC or not, I think that would be great if to the mission of ICC we really add to bring more Rotarians to meet us here in Russia when it will be possible, of course. Right. That's my thought. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga. And Olga, I can tell you I've been a member of our club in St. Petersburg since 2010. And there has been a myriad of people from all different countries, South Africa, India, all the European countries. And so come visit us at our meetings. And we're just waiting for the time when we can have live meetings again and can bring those people. In the meantime, because we can't do that, people from all over the world are visiting us here on Zoom and coming to our meetings. And if we can share knowledge about Russia to those people to make it more interesting for them to come visit, we're all for that, definitely for that. So stay tuned. Again, I'm not sure if we're going to do it this fall or early next spring, but I'm thinking that we might want to bring a bunch of ICCs together at the same time, one representative from each to come to talk a little bit about helping each other between their country and Russia. That might be an interesting thing to do in the future. Thank you. We got one more to go, and then we'll be just about on time to leave. Vera Alexieva. Vera, are you on board? There she is. Any comments, please? You're muted. Unmute first. Unmute first.
Good evening. Nice to see you all. I'm present president of Rotary Club Moscow East. So now I was very glad to see you all, and it was a very interesting presentation of Urs. And actually, I visited your second meeting, and it's always interesting. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. If I catch him before he's gone, I skipped over Risto. Did I miss Risto? I think he just did escape from me. Risto from Finland. Risto is a very interesting man, and we should have him on screen talking some evening. He is currently the mayor of a local city in municipality, not city, municipality in Finland, and something new experience for him. He just took over as a mayor about 2 months ago. So might be interesting to hear from him. I'm sorry I missed him tonight to find out his comments. Ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much brings us with everybody's comments. We had a good meeting. Yours and Elena, again, thank you very much for your kind words. Thank you for giving us the presentation tonight. We appreciate that. And we hope to see you back again as a member visiting our meetings every Wednesday night, same time, same place. And Randall will continue to find good people. He does all the time. I don't know how he finds all these very interesting people to bring on board, but he does. We will continue to work on that and try to give you meetings that give you some substance, not just getting on here and chatting, but give you something to actually think about or something that you can act upon. That's our mission. As Rotarians, we need to stay active, and we need to help the communities we're involved in. So let's all do that. Officially, my tin cup. The meeting is finished. The meeting is over. We're going to stay on board for about another 5 minutes if anybody would like to stay around and chat. But otherwise, the meeting is officially over. And we'll hope to see all of you back here next week, same time, same place, with another good speaker. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you.
That's done, yeah.
Thank you.
Have a nice week.
Thank you.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's a Rotary four-way test.
Now many years ago, in 1932, his company was headed down, knew not what to do. Then Herbert Taylor started on a quest to keep his team from certain doom. He wrote the four-way test.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's the Rotary four-way test. Adopted some years later by Rotarians worldwide, some simple rules for dealing with the people by your side. A guide for life's decisions, no doubt one of the best. just 24 quite simple words. The four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's the Rotary four-way test. In the class or on the playground with your friends at school, you'll find that hurtful words and actions really aren't too cool. So as you make your choices of what to do or say, remember that old four-way test and you will be okay. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's the Rotary